Hello, hello, hello. You're listening to the MarkeThinkers Podcast. We'll take you on a journey in the world of digital marketing to discover innovative ideas, evocative solutions, and the latest updates in our industry because digital first is the new rule. We are your MarkeThinkers. My name is Jim.
And I'm Carissa.
So let's get the market thinking started. All
Yes,
right, how are you, Carissa?
I'm good.
We are in the Christmas season here in the Philippines. The people are already singing Christmas songs. We are already seeing Christmas decorations on houses here. So yeah, it's a very festive time here in the Philippines. But right now, for this episode, we are talking about launching successful MVP marketing program for healthcare and aesthetic providers. And today we are joined by a very special guest and a very special friend in our industry. So without further ado, let us introduce our guest for today's episode, Yee. Hello, Yee.
Hi guys, thanks for having me today.
It's a pleasure for us.
Yes, it's an
So,
honor.
Yeah, it's a big honor for us to have you here in our podcast. So let's get right into it, yeah? Tell us a bit about your story. How did you start helping healthcare and aesthetic providers in the marketing?
Yeah, so I think what's interesting, actually, a lot of people probably don't know this. I actually graduated with an accounting background. I don't know if you knew that, but eventually I kind of found my way around marketing. Did my master's in marketing in Australia, worked with a few companies all the time, and then decided, okay, you know what? I'll start my career off as a freelancer. And given the fact that, I sort of grew up in a family full of doctors and having exposure in that is probably the way I got myself into this niche where I targeted healthcare professionals. And then obviously that gradually evolved because what I've seen in Australia is that healthcare professionals don't necessarily need to advertise as much just because of the way the healthcare system is structured. Right. So that's where it evolved into the beauty, med spa, plastic surgeons and all that, because that's where they need to advertise because that's a lot of it's not covered by the government or insurance. So I guess that's how it evolved over time into my specialization into healthcare and aesthetics. And I've been doing that for a few years now. And again, now with things that have changing, the dynamics changing in the marketing world, I've also started evolving as well. And that's when I started doing and sort of approaching other industries as well. So yeah, that's I guess about my little journey so far.
Yeah, it's interesting from an accounting background to the marketing. Yes.
Yeah.
Same here. I'm an IT grad, supposed to be a web developer or software engineer, but I can't. So I did. Thank God there is a digital marketing that we have now.
That's true. I think it's actually interesting because with a different background, it actually helps with marketing. Like for example, accounting, a lot of times you got to analyze data. And data is what's important in advertising as well. Yeah. So you know where your spend is going, what's getting you return, what's working and what's not. Without data, you can't make decisions, right? So I think that has a big influence in terms of how, my marketing has sort of progressed as well.
Yeah. And advertising has a lot of numbers, and when you see numbers you should not be afraid, so it's good that you had that background.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's very interesting because unlike the two of you, I graduated with a marketing management course. So when I came into in this industry, I was ready to face everything, but I didn't know that it wasn't only just creating content, writing pieces, or creating images. It was also understanding data, fetching them, understanding them, and then making strategies out of it. So it doesn't require that you have a big knowledge of marketing in entering digital marketing. Anyone can be a digital marketer, but with the right skill set, of course, and a very wide imagination. You can turn anything into a campaign. So in our title, we have this what we call MVP marketing program. So can you tell us about it and what is the benefit of your clients?
Yes, so our main focus is lead generation. I guess this is for service-based businesses. What we do is we do paid ads as an entry point, but we also encompass everything else that happens. So we do lead generation at the start to get inquiries, and then we nurture the leads. So we do things like email marketing, we do text messaging. We put that all in an automated CRM system to nurture those leads. And now we've taken it a step above as well to actually include appointment settings, because we find that a lot of businesses struggle with following up with leads, the timely follow-up. That's probably one of the biggest downfalls in the entire marketing funnel. So we have also included that appointment setting as part of the entire process. So that's basically, I guess, in a nutshell, what the MVP program is and offers. Yeah.
Is appointment setting automated also?
No, we try to automate it as much as we can as part of the lead nurturing sequences. So, text messaging and all that. But we have like a call center that basically follows up with leads as and when they come in to pre-qualify them and then book them in for an appointment if it's for a service-based sort of client.
So your tagline for MVP program on your Facebook, it says, your secret weapon to consistently filling your appointment book with quality patients and clients that you want to work with. So how do you maintain getting quality leads for the client?
Isn't that the biggest question? That's the gold nugget. I think this is where I think marketing has changed over time. And when you talk about quality leads, it's thinking about what the client wants. Some clients don't mind offering, having a very good offer, right? If they have a very good offer, it can be a very direct marketing campaign. If they have an irresistible offer, you run a direct marketing campaign, you can easily convert a lot of clients, right? Because it's a no-brainer. People can't say no to your offer, right? But a lot of times I also have other side of the clients that they think, I don't want to offer a discount. I want to, charge full price, et cetera, et cetera. How do you actually do that? And that's when we change the strategy. You got to look at different things. You've got to think of different parts of a decision-making journey of a client or a prospect. And if, we do everything from, trying to work on their brand, things like, publishing the content, videos, working with them to come up with content to showcase that they're a thought leader in their field, or identifying those unique, selling points and try to sort of get them noticed for that, right? Because that way you can, what I call, generate demand. By generating demand, people actively seek you out. So things like what we're doing, podcasting, creating video content, these are things I think that make a difference in terms of, helping them attract the type of clients that they want. And is sustainable in the long run. And then you obviously can amplify that with other marketing strategies, whether it's email, SEO or paid ads, whatever it is, right? So it needs to be looked from multi-facets, point of view. Yeah.
Awesome. I totally agree with what you said about following up, because we had a client before. It's a culinary education. So there's no problem with generating leads, but the problem is closing. So they get a lot of leads, but they don't have the time to close it. And of course, as an agency, we tell them that these are the leads that we're getting. We are asking the right questions, but you have to call them. And they telling that they call them, but when we verify, like we call the client or the lead, they said that no one called them. So that's very important piece, is to have a follow-up system. Sometimes even it's a follow-up, you get the sale for the following up. Right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And sometimes what's interesting is you need to actually follow up more than 1, twice, or 3 times. It's like, I think the magic number that I read is 7. So
7,
now,
correct.
So now a call center does the same thing. They follow up at least 7 times.
7 times.
Because we're all busy, you know what I mean? Like if we've got kids, we've got everything, you just forget about a lot of things that you've opted in for. So you need to be reminded. Yeah.
So we do have that sales cadence.
Yeah.
That's how they call it in the sales space, is to have a lot of touch points from different platforms, different ways of touch points like SMS, Viber.
Yeah.
So I do believe you're doing that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've started expanding your offering. So and catering to other industries. What are those industries, and what do you exactly offer, and what are the benefits to those businesses? I'm very curious with other business industries that you also cater.
So there's quite okay. So this is quite an open book. Nowadays, I tend to now at the point I can tailor the strategies depending on the client. So, for example, this very unique client that I've got, they do prosthetic hair systems. And, they target people who are cancer patients, people with alopecia, people, that condition, I can't pronounce it, where they pull their hair and, they got bald patches. Because this is an alternative to wigs or hair transplant or anything like that. And it's medically covered by insurance, right? So for example, that's one client that we tailor our strategy. And now we're actually that's where the B2B outreach comes in. So what we help them do is actually reach out to, say, other plastic surgeons, other hair restorative centers, even cancer associations, alopecia associations, or other Facebook groups where we can reach directly to the consumers itself that are looking for a solution, and we help them promote, what they have to those customers. Right, so that's one of the niches which is so different, and we sort of doing that B2B outreach for. But at the same time, I've also moved into other things like property, working with property developers to help them sell a lot of off-the-plan developments that they have as well. So we work again with it's not just selling the properties, but also recruitment campaigns. So to hire people, because it's such a high turnover industry. So this is why I guess it's quite interesting. We've evolved a lot in terms of what we're offering, not just appointments for healthcare or med spas and so on, to doing other things like that. We've even done things like local SEO for restaurants, other home services and all that. So yeah, there's quite a range of people that we now work with.
Wow. Are you able to replicate the strategy from one industry to another?
That's actually a very good question. Certain things you can, or the concepts can be replicated. But what I find at the end of the day, I think the overall concept is there, but you still need to tailor a lot of things like the messaging, understanding the target audience at the end of the day. Because no matter what industry, even if you work with the same, for example, I work with pain management clinics. One pain management clinic may have a totally different strategy from another because the audiences that you work with are different, or the techniques they do are different. So that's when it comes down to the copywriting and really understanding the audience so that you can kind of, in a sense, replicate the strategy. But I think as an agency right now, I don't see the copy and paste model 100% working, because it's just the way the industry has evolved. If you copy and paste it, it's just not gonna work. People don't buy. People want to see authority and trust. If you're just copying and pasting something across, why should they buy from your business and not the other person? Yeah,
it's not a cookie cutter approach. That's how they call it.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. So there's a topic that you are passionate about, which is holistic marketing. I know you've mentioned in the first part of our conversation about the holistic marketing, but tell us more about that. You said that people always want to spend money on marketing and people don't want to discount too much. So how do you actually do that with the holistic marketing?
So I think this is where, if I can break it down, it always starts first by understanding the niche and target audience. I know I throw this around, but a lot of people forget that and they don't really know how to do that properly. So for example, if a psychologist, they want more cash-based patients, but a lot of times people prefer to use insurance if they have a choice. So what do you do then? That's when I sat down, for example, with one of our clients to break down every aspect of their service, her training and so on, and found that she actually does things like family law psychology. So she actually works with the court to identify a lot of these issues in divorce or abuse families and that kind of stuff. And this is where insurance doesn't cover. And so it's being able then from there identify who are the kinds of people, where do they live, where do they hang out, to start trying to reach out to them, right? So I guess that's part of it. First is obviously identifying the target audience and really understanding their demographics and behavior. Once you do that, then crafting your message so that it's actually tailored to that market, so that you can actually reach out to them. And then from there, it depends on what is needed. It could be things like, sometimes I work with other clients that do PR, with other agencies that do PR marketing. We try to get clients on, say, TED Talks or the local news, and then use that content, because there's so much authority in that, right? You use that content to actually start doing things like amplifying that on social media, or running ads with it. That really helps to build actually even like quality inquiries coming through, right? So I know like it's a very hard question to sort of say this is ABC what you should do, but it's really about finding what's unique to that business, and then taking it and maximizing it and amplifying it through all the different marketing channels. Yeah, hopefully that answers the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
The unique selling proposition. Why should they buy from you instead of the competitor? Right now, it's very important with brand building. You should at least include that when building your brand, so people will know that, okay, you have this very significant and unique offer or feature or something that will stand out
That's right.
the rest of the competitors. So you've mentioned about not just sticking to one channel or platform. So Facebook is always the number one. So aside from Facebook, what platforms or channels do you use for the holistic marketing?
Actually, that's such an interesting point. I had this discussion or debate with so many people whether Facebook is the number one platform anymore, or still is.
TikTok?
Or TikTok, yeah. I would say you need to, again, come back to understanding your audience, where they are at. I've seen a decline in terms of Facebook's performance, and this is across everything, whether it's ads or just content and so on. So again, it depends on where the audience is at. We start to look at things like whether it is cold outreach, whether it's LinkedIn. We've done LinkedIn ads as well, especially if we wanted to target professionals. All right. So for example, I had the psychologist that I was talking to. She likes and wants to work with plastic surgeons. And why? Because plastic surgeon clients have a lot of money, and they can pay for the services. And a lot of times they have a lot of, I can't remember the condition, but they're concerned about the image, right? So they need counseling, counseling and whatnot before they go for surgery. So we try to help her reach out to these plastic surgeons to get them on board so that they can cross-refer clients, and they can also provide psychology service to the plastic surgeons because they have their own problems, So, sorry, I kind of lost track in terms of what the main question was. In terms of the channels, that's right. So, we kind of work with LinkedIn, email marketing now as well as part of that, whether it's social postings, TikTok as well. But I found that TikTok, for lead generation, there are some questionable, leads that come through that. It's very good for e-commerce. Local SEO, I think, is a huge one because most of the clients are in service-based industries. It's very hyper-targeted to a specific location or radius. And that I found has helped. And the fact that we actually partnered up with a software provider that has a patented technology, we're able to deliver much faster results than traditional SEO. So it's looking at a combination of all these factors, included in different channels. Yeah.
So you mentioned that so that's new, LinkedIn, and you mentioned about SEO. So it's still Google. I watched this video. Says if Facebook is social, Google is search engine. So even there's a lot of shiny things, the TikTok, Facebook is also going into different real estate, like adding placements, right? There's marketplace ads. There's a lot of placements they're trying to get because feed is very saturated right now. But still, I believe in Google. Google still people still use search engine to find
Yeah.
uh, what they're looking for,
Yeah.
and it's very important to if you are a service based, very important to at least fix your Google business
Yes.
and put updates. It's very quick to do, like just seconds of your time, and you can get feeds.
Yeah, I think what you see is things like Facebook is very good for creating, creating an urgency or demand for your service. But at the end of the day, the clients that are actively looking or already considering to take up some form of your service, they are looking up on Google. They're looking for your reviews. That's something that we do as well. We want to make sure our clients, we do review management for them, because people look at a business and they don't make a decision after seeing one ad. I'm sure nobody really does that, especially if it's a high ticket service, right?
Yeah.
You do your research, you talk to other people, So we also try to make sure that, we try to coach them a little bit on sales, which a lot of people, it's selling to a high ticket client versus a lower ticket client also requires a different, skill set. So, there's so many of these things that you need to look at when it comes to marketing. Yeah.
Awesome. So, what's your thought, Tim?
Sorry, what's mine?
I mean, it seems. What's your thoughts on these statements about that, the holistic marketing?
Yeah, everything reminds me of this, what we call the integrated marketing communications, wherein there's a multi-channel strategy that we do, and we tend to carry on the unique selling proposition. And what we usually do is there's a principle in sales where we call the FAB approach. FAB meaning feature, advantages, and benefits. Wherein, if you have one unique selling proposition, you should define the three different aspects of the FAB to communicate to the customers, which is first we have the features, or what are the key differences from the competing products, and then we have the advantages, what can the product do to the customers, and the benefits, what are the life-changing effects of the product for the customers. So those three are usually mixed together to create a campaign, and then we tend to use those elements in holistic marketing, wherein if this type of campaign doesn't work, we have another backup, or we have another angle to look on, where if this one works, we can create another niche, or we can create another need for it. So I think integrated marketing communication or holistic marketing does really bridge the approach that we are promoting, which is being digital first, wherein we are promoting the channels that are already accessible to the customers wherever they are in the online world. So, which is connecting to my question, Yee, are you familiar with the digital first approach?
I guess you pretty much summed it up. So that's exactly, the kind of approach that we preach. And that's what, we truly believe in, that makes a difference, especially if you want to make sure something is sustainable in the long run. You've got to do that first. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you see or observe some brands that you think is doing the digital first approach? That's something you admire now, or, in this day and age?
I think that was one of the questions I know that you put forward, and it's such a tricky one to answer. I did have a business in mind, but it was more of a plastic surgery center here in Australia, and they're called Coco Ruby. It's a group of plastic surgeons that came together, and it's very interesting how they have made it so successful as a business, and turned over millions and millions of dollars collectively, right? They obviously, did things like paid ads, but they're so good at segmenting their audience. That's one of the key things, because in plastic surgery, I've seen, people do nose jobs, eye jobs, whatever, boob jobs, there's such a different market, or people who are mums who have had children, lost a lot of weight, and need some work done. The messaging is so different. And they have segmented it so well to showcase that the different surgeons that specializes in different areas, and even the marketing messaging, they do everything from tapping into sort of the blue, like the blue ocean, where people are still researching. They are, cold audiences there. Still at the top of the funnel, where they haven't really made a decision. They do very well with coming up with ebooks, to educate, because it's such a personal procedure. They do an in-depth job, coming up with ebooks, educational content to warm the audience, and they include things like email marketing, and it's such tailored content, and the latest in updates and everything for each segment. And it's so interesting how they do that. And then obviously they do other things like PR and whatnot. They're on things like 60 Minutes, which is like a local thing where they talked about a lot of people doing dodgy work on patients. So I think, taking all of that into account, that's how I find if, a brand, and this is not necessarily like a Nike or anything, this is just like any other business that's doing it right. They are educating customers so that they can build authority. And that is a long-term thing. It's not an instant thing. And that's a lot of things that a lot of times people forget about that. And they're doing obviously direct response things like ads and advertising, to convert people, and, making sure they're still nurturing clients throughout this entire process. So I think this is probably one of the examples of a business that does it very well, especially a service-based business. Yeah.
Awesome. We're definitely gonna find that one.
Yeah.
For that business.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I do have one last question before we proceed to our fast talk. So, Yee, can you share with us what was the hardest thing you faced in your entire experience in this industry, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, that's such a good one. I think in this industry is the unrealistic expectations. And actually, it's one of the things that I talked about today, because clients think that when they sign up for marketing help or they work with a marketing agency, it's going to turn their business around right away. And I think that's a question that I would ask them, like, is it realistic to expect right off the bat that you get 5 times return, 10 times, whatever, how many times return, right? Maybe it might work in the short run. Like I said, if you have a very good offer, you'll get the quick turnaround, but it's not sustainable in the long run. So I find that the unrealistic expectations people have has probably been the biggest challenge. And the fact that, and most of the time that people that come to us might be smaller businesses that are struggling. And that says a lot as well. When you're struggling and you hope that you invest in marketing and it's going to just turn your business around, what I find and I've noticed is that these clients tend to be very anxious. They make a lot of emotional decisions. And they want to pull the plug very quickly, all that kind of stuff. Marketing takes time. People forget that. It's not like 1 month, hey, I'm going to, be rich. If not, everyone will be a millionaire by, today. So, if you're going to invest in marketing, I think, you got to be able to weather and have that little buffer to test, to explore things. So I think that's probably one of my, biggest challenges when it comes to being in this industry and working with clients and so on.
That's totally relatable.
Yeah.
We experience the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess that's it for me. Do you have any other questions, Carissa?
No, I'm good. Awesome.
Well, so-
Very golden nuggets.
Yeah. Very, very assertive and firm, the statements that we heard. All right. So I think it's time for the fast talk. So again, we'll just throw out some questions here and there, and then you'll answer what it is on top of your mind. Are you ready?
Okay. All right, let's go.
All right, let's do it. First, books or movies?
Movies.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Your favorite social media platform?
Ooh, Instagram.
Choose your favorite country, Singapore, Malaysia, or Australia?
Ooh, that's good. Malaysia.
All right. And
Yeah.
the final one, do you follow the digital first approach?
Of course. Of course.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it for our fast talk. Yay, you made it through.
Awesome.
All right. So thank you so much, Yee, for taking the time and being with
Thank
us
you.
for today.
No problem. It's a pleasure. It's a real pleasure.
All right. So that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you're living with bits and pieces of new learnings from your MarkeThinkers. Again, my name is Jim,
And I'm Carissa.
and this is the MarkeThinkers Podcast. And remember, Digital first is the new rule. Thank you for listening. Until next time, thank you, Yee.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.